going on, everybody? My name is AntBee, and it has been a minute since I last recorded a YouTube video, which some of you are aware of. I think it's been like a month and a half
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
or something crazy like that. But what better way to return than to have a discussion about Ryan Coogler's smash hit original?
Sin.
Now, if you haven't seen the movie already, for whatever reason, first of all, you're wildin'. Secondly, go see that movie. To me, personally, is worth the price of admission, and it should definitely be caught in the theaters. But I know everyone's circumstances are different, so I mean, if you got pirated, do what you got to do. But go see the movie so you can join the discussion. Now, this movie, it had a lot of symbolism, a lot of metaphors that was thrown around that's worth discussing, because all of it together made this movie one of them ones.
He ain't lying.
I went to go see the movie last week, right? Last Sunday to be exact. So as I'm watching the movie, I see two Michael B's on the screen. And for me, I was like, okay, he's playing twins. That was interesting, because I had no prior knowledge that he would be playing twins. And as soon as I seen it, it automatically made me recall the movie Legend with Tom Hardy. He also played twin gangsters. That movie was based on a true story. So as I'm watching it, now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait and see how Michael B does, and I'm gonna compare it to Tom Hardy's performance. Well, I must say, Michael B really hit that one out of the park. This is an Oscar-worthy performance by Michael B, and by far his best performance, in my opinion, to date.
Correct.
His performance and just the movie in general, it really took me through a range of emotions that I haven't experienced watching the movie in quite some time. And this was the first movie that I actually wanted to see in the theaters in quite some time. The last movie was Godzilla vs. Kong, and with that movie, I'm just a fan of the whole Godzilla IP. Like, I even watched the old Japanese movies. Even with that movie, I really didn't care to see it opening weekend. It was like, I'll get around to seeing it like I always do. So the last movie I actually wanted to see in theaters opening weekend was Avengers Endgame. So it's been quite some time for me since noteworthy great movies have come out. So I'm glad that this movie really lived up to the hype, because I wasn't disappointed at all. I was pleasantly surprised. Now, major kudos and major shout out to Ryan Coogler. Like, I knew he directed the movie, but it wasn't until I seen the ending credits to find out that he actually wrote the movie. So color me impressed. For him to make this original piece, it really shows his level of expertise in his field. Like, he's establishing himself as really one of those ones director-wise. Now, it made sense that he wrote the movie, because the movie, like I said, it was chock full of symbolism, metaphors, and it really painted the whole story of the Black experience, at least in recorded history here in this country, America. Like, the reason why I say recorded history, because it's important to note that they would have us believe that we all came here on some wooden ships crossing the treacherous Atlantic Ocean. Let's be real here. I mean, a lot of us have already been here, but that's the history that they don't really want to shed light on. But if you know, you know. So to go over the movie, right? Because like I said, we about to have a discussion. We about to talk about some things. Now, in my opinion, this movie is an allegory to, like I said, our recorded history. Ryan Coogler was painting the story of how we are preyed upon and leached on by the oppressors, which he made them vampires, and I thought that was brilliant, because the vampires are the metaphors to the white oppression that Black people face. Now, in the beginning of the movie, right, there was a scene when Remick, which is the name of the lead vampire, Remick, when he first showed himself, it looked like he kind of fell out of the sky, skin is burning or whatever. Now, I could be wrong, but I only seen it once. I will get around to watching this movie again. I'm just pressed on time, being a single dad and working a full-time job. It's kind of hard to find time to do that. Like, the only reason I'm recording this video right now is because my 2-year-old toddler happened to be asleep. But he wakes up here and there, and I gotta pause the video and all that, the whole thing. Anyway, when Remick first showed himself as the natives were chasing him and he was running to the Ku Klux Klan home, when this camera kind of panned away and you was able to see like the lay of the land, I'm not sure if I seen the crossroads or not, but if I did, then this would kind of, really shed light on a few things. Now, like I said, I'm not sure if it was there or not. So if you have seen the movie multiple times, or if you know the scene I'm referring to and can, confirm or deny that, please do so in the comments. All right, so when the brothers first showed themselves, admittedly, so I wasn't really impressed by it. I thought it looked very amateur-ish. Like when they was leaning against the car, passing each other cigarettes. To me, it looked like what it was in reality. That Michael B played one twin, and then he dressed up as the other twin, and they tried to splice the images together seamlessly, but it wasn't coming off that way. Like the way they was handling each other the cigarettes, it looked it looked fake. But thankfully, that feeling I had of it just seeming off wasn't long lived. Like at some point, it looked like it was actually two people there. So great job on their part. And it wasn't until the twins split and went their own ways momentarily that we got to really see the difference in their characters. Like with Stack, we got to see that he was the more charismatic of the two. The more people person, fun going, slick talking one. Meanwhile, Smoke was more stoic. Smoke gave off that patriarch feel that he was the head of the household. He's the no nonsense guy that's all about the business and all about protecting his family, even against their own will, if it means, the betterment for them, which was great because we got to see the dynamic on how they work and how they function. Now with Sammy's character, it seems like his character was modeled after a blues legend by the name of Son House. Now, there's a few things that kind of make their stories parallel. And my friend Jade, she brought this to my attention because she showed me a picture of Son House with his guitar. And Sammy's guitar looked to be like an exact replica of that guitar with that whole silver plate in the middle of it. Then moments before shooting this video, I happened to look into Son House a little bit, and I seen that he was also from Clarksdale, Mississippi. He grew up in the church, had ties to the church or whatever the case is, and then at the age of 25, in Son House's case, he decided to leave to pursue music. Sammy was a little younger, I believe he was 18, but as you can see, the parallels are there for sure. But I do think that Ryan Coogler also threw in the whole folktale of Robert Johnson. Now, Robert Johnson, he was also a blues legend, but the story of Robert Johnson was that he signed, well, I'm not gonna say he signed a soul over, but he made a deal with the devil. He met the devil at the crossroads, and that's the reason why I brought up the whole Remick introduction. I was curious if he was at the crossroads or not, but Robert Johnson, blues legend, he made a deal at the crossroads. So the story goes that he never really had a talent for the guitar like that. Then he went away for some time, and when he came back, he was able to play like a man possessed. So that's how that whole folklore kind of like grew. And I thought that, Ryan Coogler kind of incorporating, the whole deal with the devil aspect into his story, it fits perfectly. It's beautifully. Like this is black folklore right here. And if we're going to do it, we got to do it right. So shout out to Ryan for that. Now, I thought that Ryan Coogler was able to paint the picture that we're all we got without really alienating other groups. What I mean by that is, to me, it seemed evident that he was trying to show that, yes, we may have allies up until a point. Like with Mary being, a woman who kind of grew up around the characters and immersed in black culture, somewhat. I think it was kind of revealed in the story that, she's like half or something like that. I think her mother's half. Yeah, she's in love with a black man and all that stuff, right? But notice in the movie that when the time came, when Remick and the boys showed up and trying to get access to the club, which they was denied, Remick, he looked at Mary and he was like, well, what about her? Now, Annie, which was Michael B. Jordan's black love interest, Smoke's character love interest, the hoodoo lady, she said at that time that, well, that's family, referring to Mary. But then later on, you know, when Mary decided that she can really find out what's really going on with the white people because, you know, she's one of them, so they should be able to open up to her, right? She go outside and they're all, you know, talking, and Remick, he's kind of appealing to her insecurities by, you know, letting her know that, you know, they see her. She's amongst her people, her brethren, right? Then that classic scene happened. You know, these scenes always happen in like horror movies and stuff like that, where you like, who would do that? She pulls the gun out of him and say, you know, leave me alone and all that shit. Next thing you know, she just turns around, gun down. Who does that? You don't turn your back to your opposition. Come on now. But anyway, it happened. She got turned. Now, the symbolism in this scene, when she returned back and they let her into the juke joint, white women are the demise of a lot of great black men. It is what it is. And Shannon Sharpe is the latest example of that. He's the latest example of that. Like, you know, she came back in and throughout the whole, not throughout the whole movie, but for a large majority of the movie, Smoke was telling Stack to leave that girl alone, man. But Stack just had to chase that white flame.
My milk of magnesia. Oh. After the devil made you, he broke the mold.
Next thing you know, she's spitting in his mouth, and sure enough, she was that man's downfall. That shouldn't have gone on over anybody's heads, what Ryan was trying to say in that scene. But to round off too, like I said, he was able to do this in a way that really wouldn't alienate any other group. Because even with Grace, the Chinese woman, she was an ally up until a point, you know, when her interests kind of derailed from our interests. And the way he delivered Grace's whole ordeal, it was masterfully done, because no one would fault Grace for, you know, wanting to engage with the vampires after, you know, they was threatening her daughter. Like, anyone of sound mind can see Grace's motivation in that circumstance, right? Under those circumstances. But Ryan Coogler still drew the line in the sand, stating that, yes, we may have allies, but at the end of the day, when the chips are down, we are all we got. We cannot depend on other people.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
And I think that's the message he was trying to show in that moment. But like I said numerous times, he have done it masterfully, to the point where I don't think Asian people will watch that and feel violated or disrespected. And little things like that, little Easter eggs like that, I felt like Ryan Coogler really took his time with this project, and it shows. Now with Sammy, when Sammy was singing in the juke joint, and it did the whole time convergence where past meets present meets future, I thought that it was masterfully done. And I would say though, admittedly, when it first happened, when like the first, you know, couple of people popped up, to me it looked a little honky, and I was like, I didn't see the vision. But as time going on and you able to see more eras starting to blend together, I was really blown away by that spectacle. It was a beautiful sight, and I thought that it was powerful the way he showed how Remick was looking at the scene. Remick was looking at the scene like one of those music execs when they find out of this world talent that they just have to have so they can exploit for their own gain. And that's exactly what happened. And that's what has been happening since the dawn of recorded time. We see it countless times, and we hear the stories where, you know, there will be these standout talents who had such, well, seemingly such lustrous careers, but end up with, you know, only a pot to piss in at the end of their careers. And we all like how that happened, because they was milk dry by the executives. And to me, that looked like that was on display with Remick, because he even said to the gang when he went to the juke joint, like, yo, just give us Remick and we'll leave you all alone. And too often that happens, where the oppressors would, you know, pillage our resources, our talents, our beauty. They just take. And that was on full display, and I thought that it was well done as far as him, you know, shining a light on that. So all in all, I want to keep this video as short as possible. You know, I'm a yapper, so I can continue talking, but for the sake of time constraints, and hopefully, you know, you guys are able to chime in the comments and we could keep the discussion going there. But if you haven't done so already, then please do me a favor and hit that like, that sub, and yeah, hit that noti bell so we can know when the next time we're going to have another discussion. And if I haven't said so already, I thank you for your time and thank you for listening to my rambles. And let me know what you thought about the movie down below. Seriously, let me know. Let me know if there was some points that I may have missed or some points that I probably hinted at but didn't expound on too much. If you got the missing piece of the puzzle, then share that in the comments and let's continue to talk about it. But with that being said, I appreciate your time. Take care of yourself. Be blessed. Peace.